Hey everyone, this is a production rundown of the audio signature that I did for River Oaks Church in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Really just kind of going through here the production process, some different tools and tricks that I used. Hopefully you'll learn some things and also just have a fun time. I had a great time working on this with my pal Nathan Lundstrom. He's a great musician, video, audio Swiss Army knife guy. So I'm just going to play it, and then I'm going to kind of dissect each different section, talk about some of the different effects I use, a little bit of my mixing process, and how we ended up at the final product. If you don't know, go watch. There's a TikTok/reel that he made of kind of our process, but really was just looking for an audio signature for his church. He gave me some reference tracks. I went through a couple different sketches that I'm not going to go over here for sake of time, that all are kind of cool and fun in their own way. We landed on this one, and then it kind of ended up making some tweaks, just a lot of revisions along the way to land where we landed. So without further ado, here is the final, and then I'll go through each thing. Great, that's it. It's like 30 seconds long, if that. I guess 20 about before you hit the diamond. A little Ableton trick here I learned at Saddleback Church, doing some MIDI clips here for like markers and kind of being able to visualize the grid where your song's at. So that's really helpful. So one of the things I started with was this this kind of kick snare drum beat. So here's it. So I'll solo all the drums. So on the drum rack, these are all like splice samples, some bat sound stuff, but this is kind of what we got here. Echo Soundworks carrying some of the hat situation. Which is great. And then there's another hat that I layered on top of it, or some movement. Kind of tried to bury it a little bit, and like make them work together so it's not as busy. So together. That's great. And then also some cool drum fills from Echo Soundworks, I believe is who it is. And then a tambourine loop, just again, kind of adding some movement. The whole thing about this was just how do we make it feel big and alive and moving. So you can see I got some reverb on it. Great. And then there's some post-processing, Shep 73 from Waves. And looks like I'm using Radiator, Side EQ, drum bus, CLA, a lot of, probably too much post-processing on these drums, but really just trying to get them to sound crunchy and big and kind of like a real kit, because I don't play drums, but I want it to feel like a real kit, like someone's whacking on that thing. So here's drum group again. I'll go from this drum fill. And actually, I forgot to mention here, I'm doing some different rolls, just kind of duplicating, repeating, and doing some pitch modulation on the hat track here to kind of get some more trappy hats. So again, that helps elevate it, take it up a notch. Moving on to bass. Bass was really fun. So had a pretty simple bass line, just following the chord progression, but then Nathan wanted to chime in and throw on some like live bass on it, and it just sounds so sick. And I ended up using Ableton's MIDI or audio to MIDI feature. So it did an okay job. I ended up having to pull some things around, but I ended up having a synth bass follow his bass line, and man, it turned out so good. It's probably my favorite part of this song. So I'm just gonna play this, and then I'll go through kind of different things I did on it. On his bass, on the whole bass channel, I've got Duck Buddy as my sidechainer. CLA Shep 73. Let's see what it's doing here. Kind of pulling out some highs for the most part. Not too much else. Just maybe trying to get some character out of it. Live bass, man. I had a lot of processing on that. I'm really trying to harmonize these two. Really, the track that. The trick that I'm kind of employing here that I know a lot of people do. I remember maybe some Bethel front of house engineers talking about it. You kind of have your sub bass and then your high bass. So I'm trying to make the live bass be more of a sub. And so I've got, it's in mono too. So I'm again getting that mono sub using the UA, CLA. Mostly focusing, cutting some of those highs, but I want some of that percussive nature to come out of his bass because it does kind of have a little bit of the nice click in there that I liked. Saturator, EQ, again, trying to cut some of those high frequencies to leave room for the synth. Boba is a cool, it's like a Soothe, I don't remember who makes that plugin, but Soothe, it's a really cool, like, takes harsh frequencies out plugin. This is someone made a Max for Live version of it. I really haven't used it much at all, but this is my first time using it. So this is the bass by itself. Yeah. That run is just so killer too. Oh my gosh. Great. And then this is like a Serum patch. I put a distortion on or overdrive pedal on it because why not? Again, I want it to crunch. I want it to kind of feel like a overdriven Moog. And then I am doing all sorts of crazy things with the EQ, really trying to pull out some of those high harmonics to cut. Because again, if this is like an audio signature, it's going to be played on phones, TVs. This really needs to hit on kind of not just a nice system. And so I want this to shine. I also have some automation going on here. It looks like I boosted on the fill. I also went up an octave on the fill to help that poke out. But you can see I'm doing a little bit of. Oh, you know what? I'm not doing it in Serum. I'm doing it in the MIDI. I'm doing a lot of pitch bends, or I guess two, to follow Nathan's like bass slides. So I think that was a fun thing that I tried. I had never really done before. So here is the synth bass all on its own. And I'll pull up the Serum presets too so you can see that. There's one of those bends. Man, sounds so cool. And I guess that is from a Echo Soundworks, maybe Stranger Things. So of course it sounds like a Moog, very much in that vein. Moving on to the synth group again, Duck Buddy here, my trusty sidechainer, Shep 73, CLA, just kind of doing some glue work there. There's a lot going on in this group. A lot of it started really with this chord thing, and then I kind of ended up layering stuff on top. So I'll play actually the whole thing so you can hear it. I'll start it from halfway through so you can hear all the layers. So it started with this chord, just real simple kind of auto filter thing, really snappy, really cool, very much in the mid-range, so that's why I pulled it out. Yeah, so cool. Real simple chord progression. And then it really needed something else to kind of pull on the highs of it. So this is a pretty deep layer. It's in there. And man, holy crap, I've got a lot of processing on this. OTT, utility, microshift. I probably was just throwing stuff on here until it sounded good. But this is going to be pretty wide, going for some stereo width there, and then also pretty bright, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so super chorus, kind of super saw type vibes. One thing that I like about this synth is it also kind of acts as a filter sweep. I've got an effects group later that I'll show you, but it's also kind of playing that role with a little bit more harmonic stuff going on because it's not just a noise sweep. That is the wide saw. Moving on to lead. Really, really like this lead that I pulled out. Really just serum, some saturation, a little bit of micro shift to kind of make it feel a little bit more wide, a little bit more chorusy, and just pulling up a hair on the frequency that it shines at. So this is a very Stranger Things heavy patch for this song. So very like Juno kind of vibe there. So that one's really cool. Moving on, I guess I did a mono version of it. Let's see how this one sounds. Same exact thing. It's just mono. That's so interesting. I don't remember doing this. Oh yeah, okay. So this is the thing that happened in the mix stage. I was losing a lot of the attack from the regular version of it, and so it was just getting lost on like a phone speaker because there's just no like punch. There's no center on it. It was pretty spread wide. So I needed something to pluck. I needed it to hit. There's a lot of different ways you can do that, transients and stuff. But I ended up just making a mono version of it and then kicking off that little micro shift. And I guess I did a little different EQ work on it. So anyway, here's the mono by itself and I'll play them together. A lot more dry too. And then together. Yeah, it's sweet. It clicks a little bit more. So I think that was a great thing that came out of mix stage. These vocal chops are cymatics, part of their like Chainsmokers pack. I've used them on a couple other projects. I think they're really cool. Didn't really do much except EQ and reverb. Here's the chops. That's cool. Again, all this is getting sidechained on the group. It's helpful to have those groups because then I can kind of glue them together and also control like them. I don't want too many groups, but I like summing them to, I guess this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. So I kind of only have a few like big group faders to play with. And then this piano thing came late. Yeah, I just wanted, again, some ear candy real up in the top register. I need something high, high, high in the frequency range. And I like the hammer noise from this piano too. So again, getting some of that high attack, getting some of that stuff on the high end of the frequency spectrum. This probably was a later addition to. Oh, and then it's hitting a harmony going down, so you get a little bit of tonal variation there too, and it's blended, so you can't really. It's almost like, am I hearing a harmony? I don't know. It's really faint in there. I really like how that turned out. Going into guitars, so again, this is something that Nathan suggested. I think it was a great idea. He recorded a heck ton of guitars for it. I don't mix or work with guitars very often, so it was a fun challenge to find space for these in the mix because I think they're really good and add a lot of energy. But as a guitar player, they can take up a lot of space in the mix. So it kind of took some crafting to figure out where they best fit. So I'll play the whole group first. That's the group. I wouldn't. This is a great example of I would not EQ this for any, like, I don't like how these guitars sound, honestly. Like, Nathan sent me great tone, but to get them to where I wanted them to fit, I kind of had to manipulate the EQ a bunch. And I'm like, when I listen to that, I'm like, that's not great tone what I did to them, but it fits. And so that was a helpful practice for me and be like, wow, this is not exactly what I want them to sound like. And that might just be the inexperienced mixer in me, but they work for the track. And so I think that is what I needed to do here. You can see I've got some panning going on. The lead's a little right. that leads center, and then I hard panned rhythm left and right. I'll go through each one. Again, side chain, Shep 73. Also doing some glue compression to just stick them together, chop some off the top, so they're pretty uniform dynamics. Here is lead number 1. See what this EQ is doing. Pushing some highs and a little bit of drive on it. And then number 2, this is center. This one's real, like this one's crunchy, rhythmic. I love it. So this one's kind of central if you're listening to the whole mix. Like it's just adding this like mid to high range meat that is just driving and I think brings so much energy. And I really like these rhythm guitars. I'll play them together. They kind of hit with those chord changes. Yeah, those are sweet. I put some reverb on them just to make them breathe a little bit more. And then getting down to effects. Really, this is just a lot of like reverb throws and sweeps I have from random sample packs. One that I really like, this is like a San Holo pack from Cymatics. It's a vocal sample. I pitched it up and reversed it so you can hear it's kind of this like vocal swell. So there's some kind of tone leading into it that shows you where you're about to go. I do it again here. And then I also employ a riser here. This is Nathan's suggestion to add. I think this riser is so sick. It's from Serum. Let's see I don't even know whose pack this is. Some future bass pack I have. It's killer. This is so fun. And I sidechain that too. So you feel even more tension as it builds. Effects are pretty straightforward. I've probably got I've got reverb on every one and then the sidechain on that last one. And then another thing I did was, I don't remember who did this trick, but I threw a return bus and just mixed a little bit of everything into it with just a big reverb to kind of make it sound like it's in a room, but again, just real small, tasteful, like you can barely... It's like so quiet you can hardly even hear it. You probably need headphones for it. So that is again just barely mixed in there to kind of make it feel a little more analog, a little bit more like this is performed live, which, plot twist, it was not. I am a terrible mix engineer, mastering engineer, so holy moly, this was just me throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what works. We've got a glue compressor, chopping stuff off the top. Utility, I think I'm checking a mono there. VU, the CLA, a Kramer tape master. I think that's super fun. It adds some kind of crunch to it. I probably made this too crunchy, but who cares? Some mid-side stuff for some stereo width that Nathan suggested. I'm using Ozone Imager to kind of see where that signature is. Still probably a little bit more mono than I wanted, but I don't have Ozone right now, so I need to buy that again. Color limiter, again, trying to add some character. Spectrum, again, I'm just kind of referencing where are we hitting. I'm looking for kind of a shape that does like this situation. Utility, again, probably to check the mono mix. And then I guess I have a limiter just to make it hit that 0. I didn't even check the like LUFS or anything on like a traditional mastering plugin or tester or anything. But that is it. I think it turned out really cool. I'm really proud of it. I also don't really record these production overviews for anything. This is super unpolished. I don't know how often I'll do this again, but I've got a couple of projects that I worked on that I think were really fun, have some cool nuggets in them. So if you like this, if you aren't completely bored by the end of this 20-minute spiel of me talking, feel free to let me know. This is it. I'll play it one last time. Over and out.